Hey, what's going on? It's the Petrol List.
What's going on? It's your boy Dalton from the Petrol List, and as you can see, I've got a special guest in here today. I'll let you do your own intro.
Sure. My name's Guy. I'm at Dalton at a local car club, and he inspired me to actually buy a Jaguar F-Type. So
huge mistake, and I apologize.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, thanks for the invite. We're just gonna talk shop a little bit today about some upcoming F1 races in Vegas you may have heard of.
Yep. So all right, so this is the Monday Petrol List video. The only thing is there's no F1 race to react to for, gosh, I feel like for all day yesterday, I was talking to my wife, I'm like, babe, we gotta stay up for the race, like, you know, can't imbibe too much, gotta be fresh to watch the race. It's not till next week.
Yep.
So instead of actually talking through our reaction, maybe some predictions, maybe talk about the issues that are gonna be coming up with the race, so that kind of thing. And of course, you know me, I'm a guy with a pen and a notepad, so I just took some notes. Vegas track temps, the Vegas track map, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Race predictions, and we got to talk about the strikes. So, which one of these topics do you want to start with?
Ooh.
Or anything else related to the Vegas?
Well, I think if we talk, one thing we can talk about is the temperatures, because I think that's going to lead to a lot of race predictions, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be one of the coldest races on record, and so that's also going to kind of lead us into the tire debacle.
Yeah.
So
interestingly, on that point, it could either just be more of the same, and all the cars that were successful the grid ends looking the same, like Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari down the line, or the temperatures could wreak havoc and we don't know how the different cars are going to react to it.
Yeah, very true. As I was doing some research, the predictions are that the average speeds are going to be close to that of Monza, again assuming that the tires are warm and safe to operate at those speeds. So it'll be really interesting to see if the tires are a contributing factor to accidents and or successes and failures for the day. So
yeah, you know, oh my gosh, I just thought of some other stuff. So tires, huge. That's first thing you think of when you think cold track is tires. Now drivers, you're going 200 miles an hour and it's 50 degrees. It's not like you have a shield to keep you warm. You don't have AC, you don't have heat. How do you think the driver's going to react to it? I mean, driving with cold hands, cold everything?
Other than the fact of it'll be something that they're just not used to.
Yeah.
It could be kind of a mental challenge more than anything. Again, they're seeing conditions that they maybe hadn't encountered before.
Yeah.
So maybe they have less confidence in the car's ability to turn in. You know, after a long straight, wherein the tires are cooling down and they're going in and it's going to be like ice. So
yeah,
who knows? It'll be interesting to see.
What about physically? What do you think physically? Because like I've driven in a 1977 MGB, driving home with my dad from Nebraska back to my hometown of Denver in the middle of the winter.
Oh yeah.
And my hands were they're frozen to the wheel.
I mean, you know, I've been on motorcycles in the cold too, and you know, it feels like that you're going through a blizzard, even if it's 50 degrees outside. I don't imagine the drivers lifting up their visors very much, in other words.
Yeah.
So I think it could definitely be physically demanding of the drivers. So it'll be interesting to hear the post-race interviews about how the weather, you know, affected their game. You know?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. It's been 41 years since the Grand Prix has been in Vegas, and the way I can remember that is because it was in 1982, the year I was born. So,
dude.
Interestingly enough, the track was originally in the Caesars parking lot, and so it was kind of dubbed the parking lot Grand Prix, and it wasn't popular 41 years ago. And I don't know if it's going to, rise to the popularity that everybody is hopeful of in the leadership with F1.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so speaking of parking lots, speaking of track maps, I'm actually going to go turn on the timer really quick so that we don't go
No problem.
overshoot. Unless it turns into a funny...
I'll keep don't trip on anything.
Yeah, don't trip. That would be definitely a blooper.
Yeah.
The track map.
The track map. Yes, it feels like it was created by my 7-year-old. It is very unattractive, I think, is the best way to call it.
Yeah.
I don't know how popular it's going to be with the drivers either. I think they've already kind of been vocal about, this is more, they feel like more of a spectacle than a race. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I know that they went through multiple designs when they were coming up with this, and the fact that this was where they finally ended up at makes me want to see some of those previous iterations.
Yeah, me too.
So,
who greenlit the pig? It literally looks like a pig.
It does look like a pig, or a pug, which is what I told my wife when I initially saw it. A pug had rolled over.
Yeah.
But
so somebody had to have seen the aerial view, even if it was just a concept. Somebody had to have seen that, and they didn't just do one of these and be like, oh, it looks like a pig, right? So nobody. The saying, lipstick on a pig. Yeah.
I think that might kind of be the theme for this particular Grand Prix, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's so many challenges that are going on, in Vegas with putting this whole thing together. Vegas is such a huge destination spot. And so I'm thinking it back, when they broke ground on this months and months ago, like all the really cool attractions that people have come to see have been either shut down or impeded because of all of these walkways that have been built, and there's over 280,000 rooms in Vegas, like hotel rooms or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's a huge populace of that in the center of this track, and so they have had to build all of these additional walkways so that people could get to and from the hotels.
So are these going to be like sky bridges so that people can like walk above the track? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, they're like sky bridges, but they're also tinted or blacked out so that spectators can't watch the race.
Well, so that you don't pile up,
and also because you didn't technically pay for the ticket. So
wow.
That's another issue, is that many of the hotels were basically required to black out windows from particular rooms that had advantage of the track unless they were willing to pay the money for the rights to view the race.
Interesting.
So there's lots of, again, shenanigans like that going on. With, again, getting ready for this race day. You got the Bellagio fountains that are not operating. The Venetian
so they're actually going to shut those down.
Yeah, the Venetian waterway.
Do we know when the last time they shut down fountains? There's got to be some stat. Something like, it hasn't been shut down for 20 years.
Yeah, I have no idea. But there's one lady that I was following on Instagram that I think is a Vegas local, and she's been filming, kind of the progress of everything. And again, all the money that's going into this. We're talking about $500 million.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot riding on the success of this race.
Yeah.
Because, again, my understanding was that the race in 1981 and 1982 were huge flops as far as like financial success goes. And Caesar Palace, I guess, was the big loser in all that.
And you had already mentioned it, that this is the first race in 41 years?
41 years, that's right.
In Vegas, okay.
In Vegas. But, and I believe it was in 2017, F1 patented the Las Vegas Grand Prix, the Miami Grand Prix, and the New York Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So, which we haven't seen the New York Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But the idea was that they wanted to pick these destination spots in the United States to create these street circuits.
I want to talk about New York Grand Prix, the hypothetical.
The hypothetical?
For just like a minute.
Yeah.
Just like,
we could switch gears.
How are they going to...
I think what they
logistics.
I think what they were thinking is they would, instead of using the F1 cars, they would put everybody in a New York cab and
there we go.
And let them race around Manhattan and see what happens.
E-bikes.
Or e-bikes, yes.
I think e-bikes would be good.
E-bikes would be even more entertaining.
What is that? The Honda has that little suitcase shape.
The suitcase bike.
Suitcase bike. I think New York GP will be the suitcase bike. Okay, my apologies. I wanted to talk about New York for a second. Back to Vegas. Before we started, we were talking about the strikes.
Yes, that's right. So, as I understand it, there are approximately 35,000 people that are literally waiting on a call to potentially walk off the job. We're talking about waiters. We're talking about bartenders.
Yeah.
Without them running Vegas, I could see this turning into a huge catastrophe. And one of the things that they're really riding on is this enrichment that they feel that all the companies are about to receive from this race. But as we've talked about, speculation, it's $500 million gamble, right? And so it's really hard for these guys to really come to the bargaining table with any empirical data because it hadn't been there in 41 years.
Exactly.
It'd be different if it's been there for 10 and we're coming up on year 11. Why should it be any different? But it's a really interesting dynamic, and hopefully they can figure out a path forward. So,
and something I was saying with the strikes, and I'm trying to come at it from an impartial view. I'm not trying to say I'm for Formula One as a company or for the strikers. I don't know enough, right? But I think what I would want to do is, like I mentioned, let this race happen. Don't strike. Let the race happen. Get the data. As a bartender or waiter or waitress, I made this much this same time last year. And then, the revenue percentage goes up, and then you use that to bargain with the next time around.
Absolutely.
Numbers
don't lie.
Yeah, exactly. So then you have numbers, and then you're not, I personally try not to cuss a whole lot. I used to back in the day. I was a Marine, hoorah, all that stuff. But I mean, you're putting your shit out there a little too early.
Yeah.
Aren't you? If you're striking right now without having any data?
I completely agree. And that's why I think hopefully they can come to a resolution and say, let's just kick this down the can for another year. We're not saying what you're asking for isn't valid, but we don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. And so I think again that could be the crux of a very large failure for the whole city as a whole, right?
Yeah.
And so,
and if you make this GP fail, and you're a bartender or you're a waitress, you're making sure that Formula One, the FIA, never comes back to Vegas. So you're never going to even get a chance at that windfall, and you're doing it without the data. So this is all speculation. So again, I would wait.
Right.
And then see about the profit sharing based on this year's results.
And as I understand it right now, they've signed a 3-year deal. So they're going to be there through 2025, I believe. But the idea is that this is going to be an annual race, and they want to continue again with this concept of having races in towns that are destination spots. And so all the people that I know that live overseas, Vegas is their number one destination. Even if they don't gamble, they got to come see Vegas to see what Sin City is all about.
And you're saying you have some Aussie friends?
I do, yes. They love to come for the buffets and for the outlet shops.
Yeah.
So they literally will buy an extra suitcase or two when they're in Vegas so that they can buy clothes and then take it home with them. So it's pretty funny.
Well, it's funny because as an American, there are some things that are so American that you don't realize how American they are because you're here. You're born here, lived here, all that kind of stuff. So a very short story. When I was Marine stationed in Okinawa, and we used to get asked to, different Okinawan parties and all that kind of stuff, what they would ask us for is orange juice and Budweiser. Two of the most mundane liquids in American culture, the most, at that time, proliferous. And it was just super exotic to have orange juice and Budweiser if you were,
Not mixed together, right?
No, and enjoyed at separate times. Although, after we left, who knows?
Yeah.
Could have gone crazy and had some. That sounds terrible.
Yes, that does sound pretty bad. But
yeah. So
each their own.
outlets. What else?
Outlets and definitely like the buffets
And buffets.
Yeah, they love the go to the outlets, buy an extra suitcase, and go into the buffets.
Super American.
Super
I did not
American.
know how. I mean, correct us in the comments if you're from not America and you guys do buffets and outlets all the time. Let me know. But I guess short of that, I guess it's super American.
It is. I think so.
All right. What else can we say about the F1 GP in Vegas?
So I don't think I brought this up earlier, but there is a bit of a controversy around the Pirelli partnership.
Yeah,
the
that's
tires.
right. Yeah.
I think they were, potentially coming up with a unique compound in order to address, this issue. And I think there's a lot riding on their ability to figure this out, because if they don't, they may get the boot for this reason and others, for a different partnership with Bridgestone. And so it'd be interesting to see how much time and effort Pirelli is putting into this to try to maybe save the relationship with F1.
And both you and I had, I guess you could say high horsepower sports cars. I mean, when they came out, the F-Type R is definitely high horsepower.
Absolutely.
Today's day and age, maybe it's considered medium horsepower, although I still think they're hella fast. Point of the story is they had Pirellis on them. Now I know street tires are nothing like F1 tires, but I was not satisfied.
No, that was the
with
first thing.
Pirellis.
No, first day, I believe it was day 2, we went and switched them out because they were garbage.
Yeah, I went to Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, completely changed the vehicle. Now you had the rear-wheel drive version, right?
Yes,
Okay.
we both did. 2015, and so you have to have good rubber on there, because when you press the gas and you're going into a corner, it wants to get tail happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's extremely important that you have great tires.
Yeah.
And I think obviously it compounds that in F1 racing. So they're such an important part of the strategy, and also again how they choose between soft, medium, and hard compounds and their strategy. So again, it'll be interesting to see how that all comes into play with this race, because it being at 10 o'clock at night. Again, it's the latest Grand Prix they've had in 40 years. And again, digging into that a little bit is because they want this race to be viewed by the majority of the world. And so by having...
that's right. You were saying, okay, the Americans, we can watch at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, right.
Depending on your time zone. Is it?
It'll be midnight
here.
Midnight for us here in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
And then so for the rest of the world, they're going to be what? Waking
up to F1. Yeah. So, it'll be interesting. But because they're having it at night at 10 o'clock, I can only assume that the track is going to get colder as we go on. It'll be interesting to see track evolution and whether or not they're actually gaining time with more laps, or what's going to happen.
So I'm curious, because there's such a flux with the track temperatures, are they going to do their free practice, the qualifying? Are they going to do that later in the day when the track has gotten colder? Or are they going to do...
It would seem to me that the most prudent thing would be to try to emulate what track day is going to be like. And so
because you would think it would have to be cold.
You would have to.
So they're going to do it.
So they're going to have free practice on Thursday, and qualifying will be on Friday. And so they'll have, they won't have any abbreviated free practice from a sprint, which I think would be probably inappropriate for this track.
Oh my gosh, Now this is not going to be a sprint weekend.
No.
Okay.
It will not. But I think had they made that determination, that it would have given an even bigger challenge for them to get their setups, dialed in.
So qualifying. Oh, it's going to be late.
Yep. 2 a.m.
Yeah. So practice is going to be at 10:30.
10:30. Yep. To 11:30.
Yeah. So they're going to have
2 a.m. Jeez.
2 a.m. Oh wow, we're already at time for the Monday.
It's easy. So, we got a lot of components.
A lot of stuff to talk to. Okay. Anyway, long story short, qualifying is going to be late.
It's going to be into the night. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's do
And
this.
I would imagine
Yeah.
it's colder at 2 in the morning and 3 in the morning than maybe at 10.
Easily.
So
All right, so we're gonna sign off. This has been the Monday video. So the Monday video is the video that is guaranteed from the Petrol List. Everything else is just, well, you guys know. It's if I want to make a video or something. So thank you so much for watching this Monday portion. We'll be back with, or I'll be back. Guy will definitely be back for some podcasts in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks for the invite.
And we'll have to figure out, you know, some scheduling, like how often. We'll do that, you know, behind the lens or whatever. Now that said, we are going to be filming the rest of the podcast because there's a lot of stuff to talk through. So we're going to shut this down, and then we'll be right back for more.
Yep. Cheers.
All right.
Thanks. I think we got all.
Okay, that might be better.
I feel like,
Yeah.
am I better when I'm closer? Is that helping?
Kind of chopping your head off though.
I can.
You'll be more likely to go out of frame if you're talking and get
Once you
animated.
start moving, then you're gonna be like.
Yep. Him and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Will I be able to add enough light?